Live from multiple locations via the miracle of Skype. It's the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing. Co-host, Ed Kaluka. Featuring dangerous Dan Margetta. And Brian Schmidt. LTN is a caller-driven program, and your participation is encouraged by calling 414-421-7901. That's 414-421-7901. Now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
And welcome to the program. Glad you could join us. We're racing at Atlanta after it was repaved into what has really become another super speedway. They even have a double line that you can't cross, just like at Talladega and Daytona. Todd Bailing in Greendale, Wisconsin, joined by my three partners, starting with Ed Kaluka of West Bend, Wisconsin. Morning, Eddie.
Good morning. The difference is this track they can couple up and push.
That makes sense. Dan Margetta of St. Francis, Wisconsin, currently in Waterford, Wisconsin.
That's right. I'm at the studio. I gotta fly this plane in 2 weeks when Hangover goes to New York. So I'm learning the ropes and doing a show. It'll be interesting.
Pushing buttons, huh?
Well, trying to.
All right, beautiful. And of course, Brian Schmidt of Ootsburg, Wisconsin, fresh off where were you last night? Wilmot?
Wilmot Raceway, yeah. It's impressive. Anybody that says short track racing is struggling, Wilmot Raceway, which has been around for probably over 50 years, I'm guessing, had the largest crowd in the history of that facility last night for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars for the first Larry Hillerud Memorial. So, I mean, there were people in every corner and place you could stick them last night for that race. So that was really good to see.
Oh, hell yeah. That's very good. Let's see how many people show up at Atlanta today. Chase Elliott starts on the pole after the qualifying was rained out. It's based on these metrics from the previous race, which we will be talking about in depth here shortly. But for one reason or another, Tyler Reddick will start fourth today after winning his first ever race at Road America last week, as Brian Schmidt once again predicted. Way to go, man. And we had ourselves a barn burner and a pretty, all the way around, a positive experience for everybody last week at Road America on the third of six, count them, 6 road course races this year. And at our little in our little neck of the woods, they put on a whale of a show last week, boys. You got to see it, dandy.
Yeah, it was. And you know, getting towards the end of that race, I just kept thinking in my head, what's going to happen now that's going to keep Tyler Reddick from winning a race? I mean, because it happens. It happens for the last 2 years. Every time he looks like he's about to win a race, something happens. And I know you didn't have the drama at the end like you had for the Xfinity race the day before, but I think most people did breathe a sigh of relief that, you know, we're hoping that Tyler would finally win a race. When nothing did happen, it went, drama-free, and he cruised to the victory, which was really cool to see because that kid deserved it. You know, he was one of those guys that has been on the cusp of winning a race for so long, and to see him finally pull in the victory lane and the relief he had for getting that done, and the relief Richard Childress had for finally getting a win with him was gold. And to see Richard Childress Racing actually come out and dominate and win a race. I mean, think back to the wins that Austin Dillon has had over the last couple of years. Those were kind of races that, you know, he kind of backed into, or, you know, he had the Daytona 500 where all chaos wins. This is one where Tyler just came out and flat out was better than everybody else and flat out passed Chase Elliott and won the race. So it's been a long time since Richard Childress actually just dominated and won a race straight up like that.
And the nice thing I saw was that NASCAR was very patient on yellow flags. I mean, you sat there for a long time and no yellows. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think they had to do that at that track because the caution laps take so long to complete that you don't want to throw an unnecessary yellow. So some guys going off course, if they were in the gravel a little bit, if they were able to get out, they're going to at least give them some time to get going again and not be that quick to stop the race that way.
Which all leads to the question, do we really need stage racing on road courses, particularly 4-mile-long road courses? It seems to me we would want to avoid cautions at all at all costs, and having, I realize that we have to play commercials doing those things, but we can do it without having stage racing. Maybe it's just me that thinks that, and there's probably people that think it's a wonderful thing. It's a great thing to have done to the sport of major league stock car racing, to have these stage races, stages and all that sort of thing. But do we really need it on a road course?
Well, on road course, it takes the strategy part out of it. And I heard some of these crew chiefs talking about it this week, that on a road course, always the idea is be the last guy to pit, or be the first guy to pit last. That's always been your strategy. Well, when you have these stages set up and you know exactly when the cautions are going to come out, you only have two different things you can do. You can pit 2 laps before the end of that caution, or you pit under the caution for the stage break. So you really don't have a strategy there to work out. Now, if this race, because they didn't have any natural cautions due to incidents, it would have played out completely differently. You would have had all different strategies out there to try to figure out when you hit your fuel right, when you're going to stop. And we've seen it with IndyCar races there before, when they've gone caution free, that you've had different strategies out there. So on a road course like that, that'd be the one scenario where if you were able to let the race play out, I don't know how it would have ended. No one really knows, because the crew chiefs would have had to work out a different type of strategy. But then again, you got to figure out a way to how to award the points then, though, because then if you don't award the points, these races become less interesting. Meaningful, yes, less meaningful.
Did you guys see some of the analytics thing that showed where if they had run caution free with no stage breaks or no cautions at all, where the cars would be, the top cars, and the 9 and the 8 were right on top of each other pretty much at the end of that race. So I mean, those two cars are the class of the field of that race, and if they had no cautions and things didn't run out, they would have been right together at the finish. So,
yeah. So similar actually, because they were 1-2 either way. By the way, Tyler Reddick, I'm not sure how many people thought that his first win was going to come on a road course. I'm not one of them. I thought it would have been on an oval track. Geez, sometimes you're surprised by guys and how good they are on road courses. I didn't realize Reddick was that great. And to beat the best road course racer the sport has in Chase Elliott is an accomplishment in itself. And he becomes the 5th new winner this year. Can you believe it? That's amazing that we have 5 new winners this year. In case you didn't notice, it's probably the last new winner we're going to have for a long time.
I don't know. The last time we had 5 was 2011. We had 5 different winners, 5 first-time winners that year as well. Man. But how many? This is what, 13 now on the season?
13 out of 16 playoff spots are already by wins. We have Ryan Blaney in 14th place. We have Martin Truex in 15th place, and we have Christopher Bell in 16th place. And those 3, remember, can get knocked out of the playoffs if in the event that there's another, let's just say, surprise winner. Like, let's just go deep into the coloring book and say maybe Bubba Wallace could win for the second year in a row at Talladega, which would bump one of those drivers up. What's that?
No crayons are that big.
He did it before, Ed.
Also realize all 3 road course races this year have produced brand new winners. You know, the Trackhouse cars won at COTA and at Sears Point, and then you had Tyler Reddick here. Those are new winners at all 3 road course races.
It's all because of the new car.
Yes. But there are no legitimate first-time winners left. We're not going to see any first-time winners anymore. Who's it going to be? Ty Dillon? Maybe Harrison Burton? Maybe Corey LaJoie?
Hey, we do race at Daytona yet this year.
And we do race at Daytona, and you never know, and Talladega, and you never know who can possibly win at those races. By the way, Kevin Harvick is 20 points out of 16th in the final playoff spot right here. Almirola 27 back, and Eric Jones 38 back. So, it looks as though if you're going to make the playoffs, you better get yourself to win a race, because without it, it's going to make it awfully tough at this point.
You know what my next first-time winner will be perfect? Watkins Glen and Kimi Räikkönen.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't have to worry about him getting into the playoffs. Kimi Räikkönen. You have to run the whole schedule to make it into the playoffs. We'll be right back.
A midsummer favorite, the WeatherTech International Challenge with Brian Redmond at Road America, taking place July 14th to the 17th, is one of the largest vintage racing events in the United States. The WeatherTech International Challenge Road Race features over 400 cars competing in several groups. The 2022 event at Road America will also feature a special All-American Racers Eagle reunion featuring AAR designed and built Eagle racing cars between 1965 and 2012. Come out to Road America to witness this impressive racing legacy. The WeatherTech International Challenge with Brian Redmond at Road America, July 14th to the 17th.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com. The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Exciting racing at the Fair Park in Plymouth this Saturday night. Late models, sprint cars, Grand Nationals, and B-Mods. And making their annual visit to the track will be the Vintage Modifieds. And coming soon, the Badger Midgets. Great food, a covered grandstand with seat backs. That's Saturday night at the Fair Park in Plymouth. Gates open at 4:30. Opening ceremonies at 6. This Saturday is also Fan Appreciation Night. $5 off admission for adults and kids. We'll see you there.
Are you ready for an inflation vacation? Win $1,000 9 times a day, weekdays, right here. Just listen for the keywords to enter on our website for your chance to win a grand.
At thebig920.com.
Welcome back to the program. The race will be televised today on USA. I think we got to get used to the fact that they're going to be having the races, and we need to know where to look for them. Check your local listings to see what channel USA is on. The race comes on at 2 Central Time. The green will be at approximately 2:27 this afternoon. And, of course, coverage right here on the Big 920 begins at 1 o'clock this afternoon, so be sure to tune in for that. Gentlemen, the downside to the racing last week, I think, is that there were only 8 lead changes at Road America, which is kind of goes along with racing on road courses, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't because the tracks are so big and the things that come into play like that, it happens a lot. I don't think you have a whole lot of lead changes. It's not like today's race at Atlanta where you're going to be like a mini Daytona or Talladega. You're going to probably change the lead a bunch of times because of the draft and all. It doesn't come in effect as much on a road course, right, Brian?
Yeah, and that's just kind of, road racing. You're not going to have the constant back and forth and the back and forth. It's a little bit more strategic. And with the lack of cautions, that also backs up, the amount of lead changes you have. You only had 2 chances for restarts where you're going to have a lot of mixing up, and that's just how road racing is. And not a bad thing, but,
right.
Fans that are expecting, 15 to 25 lead changes on a road course, that's just not going to happen.
In the Xfinity Series last week, as we talked about on last week's program, Noah Gragson lost his cool and drove like an idiot and turned right into another car, which caused, I saw, $250,000 worth of damage to other cars. So he was fined this week now. After reviewing it, he was fined $35,000, and there were 30 driver and 30 owner points taken from Gregson. Of course, his owner is Dale Earnhardt Jr., who kind of gave him a little bit of a tongue lashing. It almost makes you wonder why it was that they didn't penalize Gregson during the race last week. Any theories on that?
They wanted to make sure there was nothing wrong with his race car. That's the explanation that I heard from someone from the NASCAR group on Tuesday was they wanted to check his car over after the race was over and make sure he did not have any sort of malfunction to cause it.
I'd rather make that penalty call during the race if you're going to, especially something that's for an on-track action. I mean, then number one, you take care of it right away, right there. If you don't park him, at least there's an opportunity to recover from it. When you do it after the race, like a couple days later, I don't care for that. They should do it right then and there. And it was egregious enough that they could have done something right there. They should have. I got a feeling they probably looked around and saw what the vibe on the old social media was and said, okay, everybody wants to penalize this guy. We better do something.
Boy, that's reactive, isn't it? That's not exactly proactive.
One other interesting thing about the 30 points is, if you take the 30 points away from where he finished now, that would have slotted him into where he would have been had he been parked at the time. So that was interesting that they basically took his points away anyway for the day, given the cars that were out behind him, according to what I heard. The cars that were out behind him, and they slotted him into that spot anyway. So he basically raced all day and then put where he was if he would have been taken out at the time.
Interesting stuff. Xfinity Series raced yesterday at Atlanta. Austin Hill, a native Georgian, won at Atlanta, which is kind of a big deal for him. The trucks raced at the Mid-Ohio Road Course. Parker Kligerman won, which was pretty cool. The first time he's won in 5 years. Derek Kraus finished 8th. Ty Majeski was there and finished 12th. Of course, both of those drivers are headed to Slinger right now for the next couple of days. They'll be racing in the Slinger Nationals on Tuesday. ARCA ran. Brian, there's so many ARCAs I lose track. This was the regular national ARCA series that raced at Mid-Ohio?
Yep, correct.
Taylor Gray won that one. And I was a little surprised to see John Hunter Nemechek in that race.
Yeah, he did a triple, and he's working on it, and he's doing badly. I mean, they really roughed him up in that ARCA race. He thought he was going to walk away with it, and everybody that got a chance to take a shot at him, they did, and the 20 car finally put an end to him. He just thought he could push his way around all day, and it didn't work out.
The SRX series raced last night at Nashville. Bobby Labonte won for the first time and really explained it well when they got out of the car and interviewed him. He might have made it look easy, but it is not easy to win those races. It's pretty tough, and he did a great job. Marco Andretti, who somehow missed his calling as a stock car driver, finished second, and Matt Kenseth made his first ever run in an SRX car. I was really unimpressed with Matt between his heat race and the first 2/3 of the feature. I thought, this doesn't look too good for Matt in these cars. It looks like track position is everything, and if you don't get a good starting spot, you're kind of screwed. But Matt he's such a mental driver. He's got to be the smartest guy of the bunch. His tires were gone after the heats. He had him change the stagger a little bit when he came back out, and he said he flopped around and waited for the first 50 of the 75 lap feature, and then made his move. Had the best tires at the end. Was able to pass a few cars, but ran out of laps and ended up third in his first race out there. So. Interesting. Of course, Matt also headed to Slinger Speedway for the Nationals on Tuesday. But now, Brian, Matt's got to race one of those cars which is not exactly meant to race on dirt, and he's got to go and race competitively on dirt and not in an exhibition race like he did before.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see how well he does with that. And he's got that the next 2 weekends, if you think about it, because they're running at I-55 Raceway, and then they're running at Dave Blaney's Sharon Speedway in Ohio for the final 2 rounds of the SRX Series. So we'll see how he adapts to that and how he's able to, figure out what these cars need versus what those guys can do to the cars to make it comfortable for him.
Yeah.
So
I think see how the strategy works out.
Remember, guys, we learned he can drive a loose race car about 15 years ago. I think he'll be fine.
I think so, too. It'll be fun to see. We're going to sneak away for a break. LTN returns right after these.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit BonafideSafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
We're in Atlanta.
Start your engine!
It's the Quaker State 400.
The green flag now flies at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Here's Elliott side by side down the backstretch. Can he make it work? Race leader Ross Chastain has clipped the outside wall. Trouble! Their car's spinning, and this might be the big one here out of turn 4.
Tyler Reddick is the one that started that.
A Quaker State 400. Sunday, July 10th at 1 p.m.
on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Well, let's jump into Chicago politics here. How would you like to be involved with anything having to do with politics in the city of Chicago? Unbelievable. Now, this week, how did it get announced? They didn't really announce a race yet. Did we announce the intention?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
It was the Athletic, and Jordan Bianchi was the one that wrote the report. What they did is they made an open records request for, documents concerning a race, and they got a letter from the city, one of the councils or something, that they're on board with this NASCAR race with NASCAR. It's kind of like an agreement that was kind of put in place. So they got it through this open records request. That's nothing's been announced, nothing's been said, and if you know how to work things in politics, you kind of get all your ducks in a row behind the scenes before you present the whole presentation, because you know you're going to get some pushback from the other side, and you kind of don't want it to get killed in the early stages when all the letter's out there. And sure enough, now that they're starting to talk about it, the Chicago media picked it up. I think it was the Sun Times that put an article out there.
The Sun Times.
And one of the aldermen right away jumps up and says,
so politics being what it is in Chicago, the first thing he says is, we got enough idiots driving like they're race car drivers on the streets of Chicago, and we don't want to encourage them by showing actual race cars racing on city streets in Chicago. There's some logic right there,
And so it begins.
Yes.
Anybody that thinks this is going to be an easy and slam dunk affair to get done is fooling themselves, because it's just Chicago is a very diverse city, and there's a lot of different people on there, and there's a lot of people that know nothing about racing that are on that council, and they're going to be the ones that are going to push for it. I mean, we haven't even discussed cost anywhere in this yet either. This is just the guy's first knee-jerk reaction to what he sees. Now wait till the council starts to see how much this is going to cost to do this, and if you don't have a title sponsor behind it, which they haven't announced anything yet, I mean, who's going to foot the bill for something like this? You know? I love it.
I know. There's 6 road courses already. So we are thinking, if this becomes part of the schedule for next year, which is, I don't think it's going to take very long. They're going to announce next year's schedule. Then it might be the 7th road course on the NASCAR schedule, which is a lot of road course racing, unless they plan to drop a race. Now, this is where it has become kind of contentious around these parts, because people have somehow believed that Road America will not be added to the schedule next year, just because it was a 2-year deal and they have not announced that the deal was extended for next year. So as much as there are people that believe that Road America may get dropped from the schedule, that isn't necessarily the case, right, Brian?
No, a lot of different things have been floating around. None of it has any solid footing in the ground yet, but things you're hearing are, and the one you've heard the most, and I've heard a little bit of rumblings on different radios about it too, is Indianapolis going from the road course back to the oval, and then either Kansas or Richmond losing one of their dates. And we did see someone tweet last week that they're a season ticket holder at Kansas, and they were notified that they're only going to have one race next year and not two. So then it's just a matter of where are these things going to be placed on the schedule. Chicago, for some reason, really wants the 4th of July, which 4th of July is in the middle of the week for the next couple of years, so I don't know what weekend that means, the one before, the one after, I'm not sure. Some of the little rumors you've heard is that maybe if they were to have Road America, it would be late August, like the last weekend in August, or I even heard one outlandish rumor that said Road America would be Labor Day weekend. Now, that really seems off the beaten path, because NASCAR made a mistake once moving the Southern 500 off of Labor Day weekend. I don't think they would do that again. So that one doesn't seem to hold any water at all. But I don't know who in their right mind would want to go spend the 4th of July weekend in Chicago, because Chicago's like their big 4th of July celebration that they have down there draws millions of people for their big lakefront fireworks display down there. Now you're going to throw a cup race in that same area at the same time. That just doesn't seem to make any sense.
And block off
logistic wise,
block off streets and everything else. I don't know. Didn't CART try this like in 1980 to try to do it?
Yeah,
and it didn't work because of the politics, right?
Right. Yeah. The IndyCar they were all set to have a street race in that same area around the Buckingham Fountain, whatever park they call that thing down there, not far from Chicago Bears Stadium, and it got close to being like a finalized deal, and then it all fell apart because of aldermen that didn't agree with it, cost and such like that, and it all just fell apart. Now, another interesting facet to this is the Chicago Bears also they're also involved in this somehow, because they are looking to leave the city of Chicago and move out to Arlington Heights.
Where they bought the racetrack out there, the dog track.
Right. So now the city of Chicago is really, they're battling here. So if they lose the Bears, they want to at least grab a cup race, so they at least have something to hold on to here. Otherwise, they're going to lose stuff left and right. So it's interesting to see how this works. I did hear that the owner of the Chicago Bears was at Road America last week, working on this
talking
deal here for this race.
From NASCAR, probably.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts to this, and they say they're going to have an announcement on July 19th, which is, a week and a half away. So it'd be amazing if this were able to all come together in a week and a half. I'd be shocked, but you never know.
The Chicago politics haven't even revved up yet. So if I was to handicap them possibly getting this race, I would say it's less than 50-50 right now, just because of all the things you just talked about. If IndyCar couldn't come in, what makes them think NASCAR can come in, the good old boys? It just not a lot adds up right there. And plus, there's so many things we don't know about. NASCAR owns the racetrack in Kansas City, and it was on the state fairgrounds in Richmond, Virginia before, but I think NASCAR,
they own that too. Yep.
They do own that now. Yeah. So NASCAR would have to be taking something away from themselves to do that, which doesn't necessarily mean that Road America is out of the woods yet. So we're going to find out a lot when that schedule gets announced.
And one other thing that was floating around was possibly going back to the Chicagoland Speedway, and I heard a lot of talk about that too, and it sounds like that is not going to happen. There's no plans whatsoever to go racing at the Chicagoland Speedway again. I think that was 2 weeks ago Somebody tweeted that they thought Chicagoland, and they said Chicagoland. They didn't say the Speedway, but that is from everything I've heard and looked this week, that is completely off the table. That place is full of tractor trailers and not in racing condition.
Well, they could if they wanted to. We're glad you tuned in to LTN. We're going to take a break and be back in just a couple of minutes. Hang in there.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit BonafideSafe.com.
A midsummer favorite, the WeatherTech International Challenge with Brian Redmond at Road America, taking place July 14th to the 17th, is one of the largest vintage racing events in the United States. The WeatherTech International Challenge Road Race features over 400 cars competing in several groups. The 2022 event at Road America will also feature a special All-American Racers Eagle reunion featuring AAR designed and built Eagle racing cars between 1965 and 2012. Come out to Road America to witness this impressive racing legacy. The WeatherTech International Challenge with Brian Redmond at Road America, July 14th to the 17th.
This week on NASCAR Live, Tyler Reddick stopped by.
It may sound full of myself, but, when I knew going into Fontana just how we were just clicking right away with this car, it just seems like the places I've really felt strongly about we've been really good at, and I think some of that is how we prepare, our confidence going into it. I thought Road America was going to be one of those type of tracks for us this year.
There's much more waiting for you each week on NASCAR Live. Every Tuesday night at 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back. So there's been some news with the Gibbs folks lately. One of their president, and I didn't write his name down. Sorry, I don't know. Came and was interviewed. The president of Joe Gibbs Racing said they fully expect to have Kyle Busch back next year, which is not a surprise. They don't have a sponsor for him yet, but that doesn't mean that one way or another between Toyota and Gibbs that they're not going to find a way to keep Kyle Busch there. That makes sense to everybody involved. But there are a couple of things that came out of it, like, for instance, and one we talked about, is that Ty Gibbs was originally supposed to be in the Xfinity Series for 2 years. And there's no reason. I mean, yes, he is ready to come to Cup, obviously. However, there's nothing wrong with him taking another year of seasoning in the Xfinity Series. He's still a very young driver with a very, very high upside to him. And so the way it looks is they'll stay over there. Now, when he comes back, when he does come to Cup, there are a couple of possibilities, which we were kicking around before the program, and he could end up in any of a case could be made for him to show up in any of the three Cup cars that are over there right now, or of the four. Kyle Busch will stay in that 18 car, but remember, as we just talked about, the 19 has a 1-year deal, and Martin Truex may or may not pull the plug after next season, which would be a very obvious place for him to go. Another place that he could go, if you think about it, Denny Hamlin. Now, Hamlin just re-signed a deal with his sponsor, and FedEx is very happy with everything the way it is over there. But guys, that doesn't mean that if Denny Hamlin slid over to his own team, he wouldn't take FedEx with him. Right?
No, I said he wouldn't do that.
Wow. I mean, it's weird because they're so tied into Denny Hamlin right now. FedEx and Denny Hamlin are go together for a long time, and they're pretty much known for that. I mean, if he would go somewhere else, it'd be hard to see him in any other kind of sponsor. Now, who controls that? Is the deal with Joe Gibbs, or is the deal with Denny Hamlin as far as how that works? I don't know the inner workings of the whole contract and stuff. And, I guess FedEx would make the choice. If they say, where would Denny, wherever he goes, well, then that's what it'll be. I mean, Denny
remember, FedEx was there when Hamlin got there.
Right. Yeah. And so you kind of put him on the map, and he's kind of stayed with him. So I don't know. You think of you look at all the cars that are out there, all the 11 cars, all the FedEx stuff, every merchandise, everything's got Denny Hamlin's name on it. It'd be hard to go to another driver, you think FedEx, you think Denny Hamlin. If that was somehow switch, I don't know how that would take a lot to get people used to that.
So maybe he would go to 23-11 races, take the car number and the sponsor with him. It's still a satellite team from Joe Gibbs, but we're just kicking things around here. There's no reason to think that would even happen. Then there's Christopher Bell, whose name has come up recently in some interesting stories. Bell is the underachiever of the group over there. He's also the youngest driver, which some might say has the highest upside to him. We know the kind of talent Christopher Bell has, at least in open wheel cars. It really has not moved with him to a stock car. Now, that's not to say that there's not problems all over the place with Joe Gibbs Racing. They're not really setting the world on fire with any of their drivers, right?
Not like we're used to seeing. I mean, they're not dominating and all that. But I mean, you look at. They let Eric Jones go. I think he's a good driver. We'll see. He's at the 43. If he ever got with another team, maybe that would work out well, and maybe that would happen with Bell. Look at Joey Logano. They brought him up real early, and he struggled in that 20 car. He went to Penske and took off. And there's a lot of. I think Gibbs is kind of concerned about things like that happening too, because it's happened to him a couple times, and that's why you're seeing. I think Ty Gibbs one more year in the Xfinity Series. I want to bring him up too soon. Although that's family, it'd be hard for him to actually leave that organization, but it's happened in the past. I mean, you lost Eric Jones, and now, Bell's kind of the same thing in the 20 car. He's got one win, and that's it.
Speaking of Christopher Bell, they did a little swap-a-roo over there. They played musical chairs with the crews from the 20 car and the 23 car. Now, remember that the personnel over there at 2311 are leased from Joe Gibbs Racing. I'm not sure if they have any of their own employees. They probably do, right? I don't think everything. Well, maybe. Yeah. I'm not sure how it works.
This is the road crew. This is the crew that actually pits the car.
They're talking about the pit crew is who we're talking about. But I don't know if any of the guys over there are permanent. But either way, they took a couple of crew guys from the 20 car and switched them with the 23 car. Now, who is that supposed to benefit?
The 20 car.
It's supposed to benefit the 20 car. Okay.
To get two better tire changes.
The same guys that Bubba Wallace cries about every week are now gone and over at the 20 car where he is in the final. He's on the bubble right now to make the playoffs. So these are the same guys that Bubba's crying about are suddenly going to make Christopher Bell help his team into the playoffs. Interesting.
It might be attitude, too. I mean, when I heard that come out I realized the 23 has had problems in the pits. They've had that issues come up. But when you kind of start publicly calling them out, that makes it worse. When the driver don't believe in the crew and the crew don't believe in the driver, you're never going to fix that. So maybe you got to move things around and try somebody else come in there. Obviously, they have issues on pit road. It's happened. And I think all those guys know it. I'm sure every guy that has they don't go out there and purposely make a mistake, and it ticks you off. But when it starts getting publicly played out like that, I think it just goes bad from there, and you have to make some kind of change somewhere.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick is the one famous for calling out his pit crew, and they have a kind of a I don't know, a little bit of a rotation over there when who's ever pitting for Harvick. If there's ever anything that it costs him time in the pits, he calls out the pit crew, and it's got to be embarrassing.
Remember, was it Knaus that time that brought the whole new crew in for Hendrick?
That's right, for Jimmy
right in the middle of the race, wasn't it? They said, "You're replaced. Get out of here."
Yeah, listen, it looks very glamorous, but how would you like to be in the middle of that kind of politics? And you talk about a performance-based industry. You screw up one pit stop, and all of a sudden, you got a driver calling you out, which is terrible. That's it. What an environment to work under. But
and the trouble now is that it's kind of publicly been out there that it's a crew's fault. Who wants to be on that crew? Because now every time there's a mistake or anything goes on, well, it's a crew's fault. It's a crew's fault. It's kind of the whole public domain that says blame the pit crew.
So I think it was a front tire changer and the jackman possibly got switched. A couple of the crew guys anyway, more than one between the 20 and 23 cars. So we'll see if that keeps Bubba from not talking to his crew chief. He was so frustrated. You got to feel bad for the guy. He's so frustrated, and he's trying to do his best, and yet every time he comes in the pits, he comes out further back. And, it's got to be as demotivating for a driver as can possibly be. And, okay, well, let's get it back. How many times are we going to get it back here? This is it's a bunch of hooey. So good for him. Maybe this will help him have a little more of a positive mental attitude. We're glad you tuned in to LTN. We've got some results to give you when we come back. Hang in there.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
A midsummer favorite, the WeatherTech International Challenge with Brian Redmond at Road America, taking place July 14th to the 17th as one of the largest vintage racing events in the United States. The WeatherTech International Challenge Road Race features over 400 cars competing in several groups. The 2022 event at Road America will also feature a special All-American Racers Eagle reunion featuring AAR designed and built Eagle racing cars between 1965 and 2012. Come out to Road America to witness this impressive racing legacy. The WeatherTech International Challenge with Brian Redmond at Road America, July 14th to the 17th.
The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Gas prices are up, morale is down, but that's why we're here with Inflation Vacation.
Oh my God.
Listen for your chance to win $1,000 every weekday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
All brought to you by Clement Manor. Grab your clubs, tee up, and enjoy 18 holes of fun at the Clement Manor Golf Classic, July 25th at the New Berlin Hills Golf Course. All proceeds benefit the Clement Manor Living Community. Reserve your spot today. Go to ClementManor.com.
The LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
Another full week of racing across the country here. We'll start Wednesday in Davenport, Iowa. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series was there for a 10,000 to win feature, and Hudson O'Neill picked up the win there. If you happen to run across highlights of that, that was a heck of a race, a three-wide battle there. What's that?
Where was that?
Davenport, Iowa.
Oh, Davenport.
The Lucas Oil. Lucas Oil is also now on Flow, so if you didn't know that, that happened this past week as well. So you'll be able to watch all the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series races on Flow going forward. So also Wednesday night in Starver, Pennsylvania at the Lernerville Speedway, the All-Star Circuit of Champions Don Martin Memorial Silver Cup race, $25,000 to win, and Kyle Larson picked up the win there. Thursday night in Spring Valley, Minnesota, Deer Creek Speedway, the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series Gopher 50, night number 1. It was a preliminary feature winner, $5,000 to win. Chris Madden was your winner there. Friday night at Chilton, Gravity Park Speedway in the mods, Marcus Hopner was your winner. The stock cars was Mitch Meyer, and the Grand Nationals was T.J. Smith. Seymour, the Outagamie County Speedway in the modifieds, it was Dan Radel. IMCA stock cars was Brandon Sharapata. Over at Darlington, Wisconsin, the Lafayette County Speedway in the limited late models, Jason Robbins was your winner. Menominee, Wisconsin, the Red Cedar Speedway in the Wissota late models was Mike Prochnow, and the modified was Danielle Bargender. Jim Falls, Wisconsin, the Eagle Valley Speedway in the mods, it was Jake Smith, and the USRA limited late models was Dylan Kromschrader. And night number 2 at Deer Creek Speedway for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, another $5,000 to win preliminary feature winner, Jonathan Davenport was your winner there. Last night at Plymouth in the MSA 360 Sprints, Ben Schmidt was your winner. The late models went to Taylor Scheffler, and the Grand Nationals was Tyler Kulo. Francis Crick, the 141 Speedway in the modified, Sean Kilgore. Stock cars was Benji Lacrosse, and the Grand Nationals was Nick Strobe. Up at Shawano in the late models, Nick Anvilink picked up the win. IMCA Modifieds was Jaden Schmidt, and the stock cars was Trent Nolan. Sturgeon Bay, the Hill Raceway, the IMCA stock car feature winner up there was Brett Wenzel. New Richmond, Wisconsin, the Cedar Lake Speedway, and the late models was Pat Dorr. The Modifieds, Ashley Anderson, and the USRA Limited late models was Brett Schaefer. Rice Lake in the Wissota Modifieds, Kevin Buzzy Adams was your winner. Ashland, the Wissota Modifieds, Brandon Kopp. Last night at Wilmont, I was down there for the first ever Larry Hillerud Memorial. The IRA Wingless Sprints were the undercard there. Zach Redant made a last lap pass to pick up the win there. That was a great race if you saw any of that. And in the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series, Carson Macedo was your winner there. Local guy from Sheboygan here, Scotty Thiel, had one of his best nights ever with the World of Outlaws. He qualified third, finished second in his heat race. He won the dash, and then started on the pole for the feature and finished seventh. They had a rough start to it. It was a 40-lap feature. Took several cautions to get the first couple laps in, and then they ran the final 38 laps caution-free. So running with the Outlaws, you're in the deep end of the pool, that's for sure. So good run for him there. Highland, Illinois, last night, the UMP Summer Nationals 10,000 win. That went to Tanner English. And finally, in Spring Valley, Minnesota, the Deer Creek Speedway for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, the Gopher 50, another $50,000 to win. It seems like every single week we talk about big money being thrown around in dirt late model racing. It's incredible. $50,000 to win. Brandon Overton picked up the win there last night. And that is everything we have for this week.
So that was live last night on MAV TV. I thought
was it?
Yeah, it was. I thought I found it after the SRX race, and I thought it was possibly recorded from the night before. But I've been to that Deer Creek track a couple of times with Jerry Gunderman. He'd call me and he'd say, "Hey, you want to fly to Deer Creek with me?" Yes. And,
that's the way to go. Real quick, also this week, a big week for sprint car racing. If you have Dirt Vision, they run starting Tuesday night at Sharon Speedway, and then they're at Eldora Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for big money. There's a historical big one that's paying over $100,000 to win, I believe, and the Kings Royal is paying big money. They have the Joker's Wildback, so tons of money being thrown out this week if you are a Dirt Vision subscriber through the World of Outlaws at Eldora.
Cool stuff.
Flo is up to 1,300 races.
What's that?
Flo, that's got 1,300 races this year.
Good God. Thanks to our friend Paul Reichert for the results from the world of paved racing, particularly here in the state of Wisconsin. We'll start Thursday at WIR in Kaukauna. It was the white race. Chad Butts was the winner. In the late models, it was Nate Van Wyken taking the checkers.
I think that was Chad's first win, too.
Chad Butts' first win, really. And his dad, Mike Butts, used to be Matt Kent's car owner years ago. So pretty cool that the next generation of Buttses is starting to win races. Friday night, Golden Sands in the super late models. It was Travis Volm at Madison in the NASCAR late models on Friday. Zach Riddle was your winner. And up at Norway, I think it's the second race in a row that Brazen Bennett won in the super late models. Last night, at Dell's Raceway Park in the pro late models, Mike Litchfield wins. I think he's pretty much run the table with the exception of the 1 week somebody did a claim on his shocks.
I'd say Litchfield won? I'm shocked.
Yeah, I know. Shocked. I get it. In the modifieds, Brad Wildis was the winner. At Jefferson, Jason Erickson had a clean sweep. They did not race at La Crosse or Rockford for one reason or another. In the ARCA Midwest Tour ran at Grundy County Speedway. It was the Wayne Carter Classic, and Austin Nason won that one. And, of course, he also will be headed for Slinger Speedway as we get the Nationals this week. Now, last week at Slinger Speedway, Jacob Nottestad, in a whale of a race, hung on to win his first ever super late model feature at Slinger. He's got other wins, but this was his first at what has become his home and favorite track. In the late models, it was Ryan Gutknecht winning it. It's going to be a big 3 days at Slinger Speedway. Starting tonight, the prelude to the Nationals. Pro late models take center stage. Plus, the hobby stocks are going to be, there will be 6 divisions, but hobby stocks don't race at Slinger very often. This will be their chance to shine. Tomorrow is practice day for the 43rd Annual Slinger Nationals. That will be, I believe, about 10 to 4, Dan, right about that time, right?
Right, I think that's what it's scheduled for, and I plan to be there, so look for some streaming of that. I think they will be pushing some of that out to let people keep up with it. I'll be there all day.
And there will be a what they call a green flag party tomorrow night. A band called the Eric Church Experience. And they're going to have samples of tequila and whatnot. So that'll be tomorrow night. They're going to draw for qualifying, Dan, right?
Right, it's a qualifying draw. Similar like they do in the Snowball Derby. Have you ever seen that, where they have that party where the guys draw their qualifying positions? It'll be the same way. They'll have Miller Lite cans and what numbers on them, and guys will go out there and draw. I think the order that they draw is a pill draw to figure out how you're going to do that, and the guy that draws the pills will be fastest guy in practice. I think that's how it's going to work. But then they go and find their order. So every driver involved will go pick up a Miller Lite can. Will have a number. If you draw number 1, you qualify first.
Will that be televised at all anywhere?
Yeah, on Racing America. They'll be there for the party. I'll be there during the day for the practice. There'll be some practice. It'll probably be streamed out on the Slinger Speedway site and maybe Racing America site for free. And then the subscriber information. It's a pay-per-view for the actual nationals itself.
And Tuesday night, the 43rd annual Slinger Nationals. Now, remember that qualifying gets underway at 4:30 in the afternoon. Now, you say it's kind of early. Yeah, but we'll get the whole shebang started at 6:45. So we're going to have a really good car count. Some of the really great drivers around are going to make it to Slinger Speedway, and it's going to be it has been voted as the top short track event in the country, beating out such events like the Snowball Derby and the World Series of Asphalt, and it's pretty cool stuff. So we're going to take a break. We'll be back right after these messages on LTN.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
A midsummer favorite, the WeatherTech International Challenge with Brian Redmond at Road America, taking place July 14th to the 17th, is one of the largest vintage racing events in the United States. The WeatherTech International Challenge road race features over 400 cars competing in several groups. The 2022 event at Road America will also feature a special All-American Racers Eagle reunion featuring AAR designed and built Eagle racing cars between 1965 and 2012. Come out to Road America to witness this impressive racing legacy. The WeatherTech International Challenge with Brian Redmond at Road America, July 14th to the 17th.
Exciting racing at the Fair Park in Plymouth this Saturday night. Late models, sprint cars, Grand Nationals, and B-Mods. And making their annual visit to the track will be the Vintage Modifieds. And coming soon, the Badger Midgets. Great food, a covered grandstand with seat backs. That's Saturday night at the Fair Park in Plymouth. Gates open at 4:30. Opening ceremonies at 6. This Saturday is also Fan Appreciation Night. $5 off admission for adults and kids. We'll see you there.
Talking Golf is on the air. This is Paul Brown inviting you to join Dennis Tiziani, Steve Stricker, Gary D'Amato, and me as we take you inside the ropes of the PGA Tour. Plus, Gary will have the latest golf news from the Badger State and beyond. And Dennis will have updates for golfers on the renovation of the golf course and clubhouse at Cherokee. That's Talking Golf, Monday night at 6 p.m. on the Big 920 Milwaukee Sports Station.
Welcome back to LTN. Boy, I guess in the big picture, the greatest story of how a guy died was one of the old Rockefeller dudes was in bed with a much younger woman and died of a heart attack.
Oh,
but
my
this is the second greatest way to die I've ever heard in my life, Brian.
Yeah, unfortunately, a longtime open-wheel racer, Terry Babb, who you've probably seen him. He runs a lot of midgets and sprint cars and stuff. Last night he was racing in Farmington, Missouri at the St. Francis Speedway, leading the 410 sprint car feature, and fell ill and pulled to the infield and had a heart attack, and unfortunately they were not able to revive him, and he passed away. Sad news. It's a guy, you see him, he's raced a lot. Not a younger gentleman. He's been racing for over 25 years. I don't know his exact age. But, yeah, he was leading the feature event and passed away. He's from, I think, the Decatur, Illinois was his hometown. So I don't know if he raced up here in Wisconsin much, but you saw him a lot running with the Power Eye midgets and the Power Eye sprints. Last night he was running a 410 sprint car when this happened. So
and leading the race.
He was leading the race when it happened, yeah. He's not, I don't believe he's relation to Shannon Babb, the late model racer, so I don't think there's any correlation there. But and I believe he might have done a little bit of TV if you watch some of the MAV TV stuff every now and then. Terry Babb would have been the infield reporter for some of the stuff they've done over the years. So sad news to report there.
Second best way. All right, we're getting ready to race at Atlanta. It's a 1.5 miles. It's the fastest 1.5 miles we have. Recently repaved. It's another whole set of circumstances whatsoever, racing on a track this fast. And I just hope that the tires that they have are going to be good at this speed for this long, because Goodyear has not had a good track record this year with their tires. So that all kept in mind, we're going to give our picks. Brian, since you are the king of the picking, we're going to give you first choice this week.
Oh, this is a crapshoot for sure. I'm going to say we're going to add another new winner to the list for this year, and I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. Now, he did win the All-Star race, but that didn't count. So we're gonna squeeze it a little harder on those non-winners, and Ryan Blaney is going to pick up a win today.
All right. Ed, who are you looking at?
I'm looking at the 48 car.
Okay. I would have probably agreed with you, but I'm going to change my pick just because you took him. Dano, who you think?
Well, I was going to take Ryan Blaney, but Brian took him. I'm going to go with William Byron. How about that? Win Atlanta, run Slinger Tuesday night.
All right.
Oh. And didn't he win there? He won there first time around, too.
He did.
He did. And I'll go with the greatest race car driver in the world. I think it's going to be a 5-car day. I would have said Bowman probably, but if Ed hadn't picked him, but why not? This is Kyle Larson kind of a track. And by the way, 3 of us took Hendrick cars, and I think it's a step out on and taking a chance by picking anything other than a Hendrick car today. And Brian did it, and he had first choice, and he took a Ford. Yeah. Imagine that.
He was right last week.
It's restrictor plate racing, kind of, so you never really know what you're going to have.
Now,
you know, isn't that true?
Who's going to win Slinger? How about Slinger Nationals? Let's make picks for that.
All right. Let's see. Let's go. Let's start with Ed on that one.
Well, that's a rough one. Pull that out. I guess Ty Majeski.
All right. 90. I'd say 91, but I think he's in 21.
21, yeah.
All right. Well, what the hell? I'll say Casey Johnson. Dan, who are you looking at?
I'm going to go Derek Kraus.
Wow.
Speaking of 21, what car is he in?
Maybe number 9.
Oh, it'll be number 9. Okay. Interesting. All right, Brian?
I got to go with Ty Majeski also. He's due. He hasn't won a super late model race in quite a while, if you think about it, so he's due to win some big money
William
there.
Byron? Nobody picked Byron or Kenseth? I mean, that...
No, well, Kenseth, I saw him at Madison, so I don't know. And Byron, I don't know.
Wait a minute. What was that all about? You saw him at Madison, so I don't know?
He didn't have that.
You didn't know, Brian.
Killer instinct.
He's going to win it now when he hears that.
Yeah.
Well, good. I hope I motivated him.
Yeah.
I did when I told him to go run dirt cars so he learned how to drive a loose car.
And he certainly was good after that. Well, not one of us picked a regular Slinger guy, interestingly enough. And if that was the case, maybe if we had to pick a Slinger regular, maybe we would have had different picks. But
I'll double down and say Brad Miller does win the Slinger Nationals, but it'll be in his truck.
Yes, that's right. The truck series is going to be racing.
I had to pick a regular guy to watch for R.J. Braun.
I agree. All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. And as we like to remind people on a weekly basis, real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our in-house engineer, website coordinator, and king of the knobs is Matt Hangover Losi. For all of us involved with the program, we appreciate the fact that you tune in every week. And we'll see you at Slinger Speedway the next couple days. Later.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.